Hello, welcome to day one for my review of the Spyderco Subvert. So, starting off, this is going to be a tabletop review for day one. This is my own personal knife and I will be carrying it for 30 days consecutively, using it for all of my knifey tasks. The point of this is to be giving you more than a collector review, giving you a user review. So if there's any sort of breakdowns in the knife, I'll report back on it because this is my own money tied up in the knife, and if something goes wrong, I'm not going to be happy and I'll let you guys know. So this guy launched in January 2019 at a street price of I think 305 USD. So it's a bit of a pricier knife. It comes out of the Spyderco Taichung, Taiwan factory, which in my opinion is the premier Spyderco knife facility. They make knives for other manufacturers as well, but this is, for Spyderco's, this is the top. The knife is a collaboration piece between Spyderco and custom knife maker Nati Amor. So Nati, by training, is a jeweler, and you can see that through the design. There's lots of, he has a lot of expertise with fine metalworking, and that carries through the design on this guy. The Subvert is based on his custom knife, the Sabotage, and the schematics for that were sent over to Spyderco and then iterated over with on the design team. And Natty, and this is the productionalized version of the Sabotage called the Subvert. So it's a gorgeous knife. Like, it just has a lot of character, a lot of really careful design considerations put into it, but it's not for everyone. At this price point and with these materials, this knife is going to basically appeal to the Spyderco enthusiast. So let's go over the materials. I'm not going to bore you with all the specifications and whipping out a tape because you can just Google that and get all the stats far quicker. So the knife is a S30V blade steel. So that's one of the first points of controversy with this knife, but the Spyderco military fluid titaniums are also S30V. So for such a premium knife, having such a older, mature steel on it, it kind of rattles a few people the wrong way. My experience with the S30V is that it performs well. The heat treat is spot on. My other Taichung, so different plants, different heat treat. This is a Spyderco Sliver Accent S30V. I've used this for gardening and digging, and even with that really fine distal taper, I haven't had any chipping or bending. So the knife will carry through, it'll perform. Not worried about that. So the next issue with the knife, well, not issues, let's go through the rest of the design first. So you have a beautiful S30V steel, and it's designed, it's reminiscent of a machete, which is more of a chopping blade profile, but the grind on this guy and that it's a liner lock knife, you're not going to be chopping with this. I feel it's going to be a tremendously good slicer. Just that really big belly on that knife and the blade shape, I feel it's going to be a great slicing blade, and I'll report back on that. So next considerations are the materials. So it is using a very thick titanium liners. It's as thick as the liners on my, at the thickest point, it's the same thickness as the liners on my frame lock military. So this is a robust knife. It has, so is it a frame lock? Is it a liner lock? It's technically a liner lock because on top of those big beefy liners, they put some G10 scales. And the G10 got the full Taichung treatment. So there is no transition. It's perfectly flush between all these materials. And then, again, it's not your boring American slab G10. This is beautifully contoured, and it just fits the hand so well. So it's a very nice contoured G10 with relief cuts for ergonomics all over the place. And it fits your hand equally well, left or right hand carry. As every relief cut they've made for access to the spider hole, everything's been mirrored. Regarding left or right hand carry, it's a tip up right hand only design. So lefties, it's one of those kind of things where you have to deal with it, unfortunately. So going back to the fit finish of the materials, the tolerances on this guy are very tight, and it's not just boring flat titanium on this guy. It is where the G10 ends, it does slightly drop a little bit. Then there's a lot of chamfering and relief cuts. Every millimeter of this knife, I feel, was thought out with intent. And it just shows. Taichung Taiwan does very nice polish work on a lot of their other knives. Instead of a polished grip, they went with a textured. So it's a milled texturing on this knife. And it just does lend to that positive tool-like feeling in the hand. Either a hammer grip or saber grips. You just get a very positive grip on this knife. In my short use and life with this knife, there are no issues with hot spots. It's just such a big knife and the clip's so far back, you don't really have a problem with that. So let's talk a bit more about the knife. The other good thing about this knife is it's rocking Spyderco's new dual bearing system. So instead of the military, I find this is a very fluid knife, but that's also, it's an older knife. I've had that for a while now. It's broken and it's lubed. This guy out of the box, the tolerances are so tight, it was very fluid, just sublime. Then day 2 came around, and I had the worst lock stick I've ever experienced in any knife I've owned. It was at the point where it was a 2-hand knife where I had to grab the blade, pull back, and then remove the lock. And I worked through it instead of doing Sharpie or graphite or any of those other improvement tweaks that enthusiasts use. I just worked through it, and the lock bar wore in, and now the knife, it's smoother than before. It's a joy to use. And that brings us to the next part about the knives design that irk a few people. This is a solid titanium lock bar. There is no steel insert, so again, bringing up the military. Another common design is to have a steel insert on there, so it's going to be steel on steel interface for the blade and the lock bar. That's supposed to help with the durability and the lifespan of the knife. In a lot of the more modern knives that Spyderco has been putting out, since this is an older design, they seem to have, they're moving away from the steel insert, and especially with the piece of titanium this beefy, I feel that they made the right call. My other knife that's I have the Spyderco Techno, and the Techno is also a full titanium with no steel insert. I've had this one for a while now, and there's been no issues with the knife. It did have lock stick, but it did wear in, and it just kind of stabilized. It didn't travel anymore. So on day 1, the lockup, it looks like it's at about, for my knife, it's 66%. I'm going to report back and let you know if it drifts any bit. If I have any sort of monstrous lock stick developing again, I'll let you guys know how that breaks in. The last consideration that irks a bunch of people, especially at the $305 US price point, is it has a steel clip. For this price point, people expect like 3D titanium custom clips, and the problem with that is I think Spyderco is reading the market very well. For people that want a user, steel's the way to go. You're going to end up damaging the clip, breaking the clip, scraping it on your workbench. I already have a few scars on this clip from just a couple days of using it. So you're going to end up banging up your clip, and I'd rather prefer paying $5 for a brand new clip from Spyderco than to pay $50 for a titanium job. And Spyderco reads the market. It's like even on a pair of 3, people always end up buying these titanium clips anyway. So I think Spyderco read the market, and they figured, like, why creep the price on the base model of the Subvert when people that are going to be users are happy with the way it is, and people that you're not going to please them anyway, and they're just going to buy their own titanium clip. So I feel Spyderco read the market well for the clip. They already made the right call there. The blade steel, for me, it's fine as a user. Again, I've been using the military for quite a while now. I've had no issues. So I think that the blade material choices that they've done, they're fantastic and they will work. So the last couple things I want to talk about is, you saw it in this profile. This is a very chubby boy. If you could, it's basically a Delica plus a military for girth. It is a very, very beefy knife, so I can't get that lined up well. But like going from the chubbiest part here to like that, it is basically the thickness of 2 knives stacked. If you're wearing slimmer pants, tighter fit pants, you will notice this knife quite a bit. If you have looser pants on, it'll be fine. So I've been wearing this with blue jeans, and I've had no problems with a couple of like Fjallraven trekking pants, no problems at all. But when I had something a little bit tighter on, yeah, it really kind of stands out. So that's it for day 1 on this knife. I'm looking forward to my month of use. It is February, and I'm very interested to see how this knife will perform. My cold weather knife is usually my military, which I prefer because of everything's oversized and exaggerated, so it's a very good glove knife. This one, I'm worried that I've tried. You can't unlock this knife with gloves on, but it does have an interesting deployment option. The blade stock on this guy is 4mm. It's thicker than a military. So the beefy blade, the heavy blade, in tandem with the dual bearing washers, this guy's an interesting deploy option. So I'm not going to be touching the spider hole, but with just a shake, you can deploy the knife. It's not an issue of weak detent on this knife. It's just that the blade is so heavy that you can just shake it out of there. So I think that'll be interesting for deployment in wintertime, but I'm also going to have to take off my glove to unlock it. So I'm not looking forward to that. The last concern in winter with metal knives is that the tolerances in this guy are so tight that this guy's an older knife, he's broken in, and I can use it in winter. Right now it's minus 30 centigrade. This guy still locks, unlocks perfectly fine. This guy, when he gets cold, it's a two-hand unlock. So we'll see, like just everything's so tight, and I'm thinking that it'll wear in over time, like my Techno, like my military, and we'll see how this guy goes. So the last thing I'll leave you guys with is a couple of side-by-side comparisons. So here's the military with the Subvert. So they're very comparable in terms of overall size and length. It's just a girth issue. And then, not that anyone other than me has bought this knife. I think I'm the only person on the planet that likes it. But the Spyderco Hungarian. All right. And if you're not into the giant knives, we can look at the Spyderco Delica compared to the Subvert. And something other than that. So I'm only going to be showing relative to Spyderco knives because this is very much a Spyderco fanboy knife. Like it's going to be, I feel that the main consumer for this knife is going to be Spyderco fanatics. So there's it. That's the size of it. I am very excited about this knife and looking forward to using it over the next 30 days. Have a good day. Bye.